We're now in Bratch Locks. This is just outside Wombourne, and it's the locks that take the canal, the local canal, higher up towards Wolverhampton. It brings the canal up the hill, and it's been here a very, very long time. It was in the 90s. It was redeveloped and it was refurbished. Everything was redone. The locks drained and everything was redone. Some of the paranormal history along this site involves horses. Horses are seen moving along the canal paths and in the area. Also, in the 1970s, there was a horseman, a glowing horseman, seen on the paths regularly by a lot of the locals. This became so well known that crowds began to gather outside Bratch Locks over the bridge. I'll show you the bridge in a minute. It's just down here. People were gathering to wait for this horseman to come through, this ghostly horseman, and he appeared several nights on the trot, on the run, running through this small outlet of Wombourne, glowing from head to toe. Horse was glowing too. Months later, the police were brought in due to a large amount of burglaries. Now this phantom horseman was seen roughly around the same time as the burglaries. When this ghost was physically caught by people, he was the man that was doing the burglaries. He was using the story of Wombourne's ghostman up in Himley. He was using that as an excuse for people to get out of his way while he was robbing houses and getting away from the houses. So that story was debunked. That's a famous Wombourne story that happened, and that was true. That happened further down here. I'll show you where that happened later on. This is Bratch Locks. Hope you like the place. I shall show you some more of it.
Bratch Locks opened in 1772. Originally it was a 3-lock staircase, and it was re-engineered later as 3 separate locks. The original locks were designed and planned by James Brindley, who was one of the most famous engineers of his time. Bratch is a Grade 2 listed building and staircase as well. In 2019, a World War II bomb was found in the lock. This was promptly removed to a nearby quarry and exploded.
If you like this video and want to see more, come and subscribe to us. Also, don't forget to hit the likes buttons as well, and you'll see more footage, more episodes of Astral-TecT.V as soon as you subscribe. And don't forget, all subscriptions will have the updates exclusive to them only as well. Until then, happy hunting. This is Bratch pumping station, a haunted site. The story tells of a little lad that was hurt while they were putting in some of the big turbines in this location. His ghost is supposed to be inside this building. A lot of reporters have blamed him for messing with some of the pressure valves in there, and some of the items in there have gone missing. He gets the blame. No one knows what his name is, but it's fact that back in Victorian times, people did use children for a lot of the small fiddly work where they couldn't get under items or they couldn't get under machinery. So it was common use for kids to be used, and the kids being killed while they were at work led to the law being changed and altered so that it was illegal to use child labour in the future, which that law still stands now. But yes, this is Bratch Locks in Wombourne with its haunted child.
This is one of the oldest buildings in Wombourne. It's the second pub to stand on this ground. This pub stood from the 1930s. Before then, it was much smaller, about half the size.
Stood outside the oldest pub in Wombourne. This is the Red Lion. This has a very haunted history. It's well known by locals to be haunted. A female spirit that's seen in the windows behind me. Also seen upstairs. She is. It's believed she was a former landlady here, possibly a worker, a bar staff. And local legends are a bit conflicting. One says she was that one of the landlords came back and was having an affair, and she walked in and caught them having an affair. So she said, and no one believed her, so she said she'd haunt the place until someone believed her. and she's still here now. Reports of people's hair being moved is a common one here. Also inside the pub there's a spot, there's a chair that a spirit is seen, believed to be the same spirit, she's seen sat in a favourite spot.
Another story connected to the Red Lion that's connected to this female ghost is she may be a former landlady who fell down the cellar steps and died at the bottom of the steps, as a lot of banging and bumping is heard in the cellar. Not many sightings have been seen of her recently, but in the 1980s a lot of bumping and banging was heard around the cellar's doors. Again, this could be the reason why it's more credible that this female is the lady that fell down the stairs.
Now the story states that this area, the swamp, is haunted by a phantom ghost rider, and the story tells that this rider came from Holbeach House, which is just towards the far end, towards that direction, and was originally the home of one of the gunpowder plotters, and they were caught there. A lot of them were caught there. They escaped London, and there was a big firefight there at Holbeach House, and during that firefight one of the stable staff managed to escape, and as he rode out of Holbeach House he was followed by the sheriff's men, who had mistaken him for one of the riders, one of the gunpowder plots, sorry. And he rode, and as he was chased, he was fired on by these people, and they actually wounded him, complete chance, wounded in his neck, which it's hard to fire a musket ball, so the chances are he was just unlucky, and it grazed his neck. So he tightened, the legend says he tightened up his collar, carried on riding. Well, due to sheer panic, he rode through these areas, straight into these woods, hoping to get to a local area known as Kimber, which is where he became unstuck, because this area now was full of water and it was very swampy. Even now, if you go down onto it, I'm not sure if you can see it there, but even now if you go down onto it, you can see it's very, very muddy, and there are places where it's probably not a good idea to walk across. But yes, this rider, he came across the path somewhere around this area, straight into one of these swamps, and as soon as the horse's hooves hit the mud, you can guess it began to sink in it, struggling and shouting. The horse drowned more or less straight away. The rider started pulling himself through the mud to the side, where the sheriff's men had finally caught up with him somewhere along these banks. He asked them for help and he was denied it. They shot him point blank range in cold blood, and the legend says it stained this area with his blood. That happened here, Himley Woods. His spirit is supposed to be seen along the local Bridge North Road, still riding, still panicked riding, chased by these men. All this young lad wanted to do was get home to Kimber, which is nearby, as I said earlier. He was nothing to do with the gunpowder plot, apart from he worked for one of the plotters as a stable boy. Hi, hope you enjoyed Haunted Wombourne Part 2. If you did, hit the likes and subscribe to us and see more footage of our next episodes. Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Facebook. We're also on Instagram. Go check us out there. Until next time, happy hunting.